Meeting. Documents provided to a majority of the governing board regarding this agenda will be made available for public inspection in the district office located at 20932 Big Canyon Road, Middletown, California, during normal business hours. Such writings and documents will be posted on the district's website and clicking on Board of Education. A file copy is also available in the front of the meeting. Said file is not to be removed from the room. Focus on all of our students' best interest is the touchstone of our decisions. Remember, it's okay to be hard on issues, not on people. We called the public meeting to order at 5:30, where we adjourned to closed session. Could we have, Allison, could you lead us in the pledge?
Sure. Please switch that around on us.
Okay, and Annette, is there anything that needs to be reported from closed session?
No action was taken during closed session.
Thank you. And could I have approval of the agenda as it's been written?
Move to approve the agenda.
It's been
Second.
moved by Chris, seconded by Allison. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, passed 5-0. Approval of minutes. May I have approval of the minutes?
Move to approve?
Second.
It's been moved by Annette, seconded by Chris. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, passed 5-0. All right, are there any board members that would like to, share anything that they've been doing for the last 8 days at least? If I could have Patsy maybe let us know a little bit about her road trip?
Oh, gallivanting all over the countryside. So we took a family vacation up through Oregon, Washington, Idaho, Montana, Wyoming, Nevada, Utah, you name it, we were probably there on the West Coast, so that was fun. And then went down to Bishop, California to root on the high school rodeo kids. And Casey Houston, do you remember him?
Yep.
He
Yeah.
is our state champion steer wrestler for California. He won. And so he's going on to Rock Springs, Wyoming in July to represent the state of California as our #1 steer wrestler.
Wow,
So
awesome.
He did really well. So a lot of other Middletown kids were down there, Lake County kids, they all did well. But he's the one that really kind of
Stood out.
had a fire under his feet.
He had a good go last summer too. 'Cause we did like a little fundraiser for him at the coffee shop to keep him going.
Yeah,
So,
yeah, and this year he graduated, so this year was his year to bring it all home,
Shine.
and he did. So,
Wow.
So cool.
Well, thanks, Patsy. That's awesome. I wanted to hear a little bit about it. Thanks for sharing. Chris, did you have anything you wanted to share?
Nope.
Okay. Allison?
I was just going to mention, in case anyone's listening, it probably doesn't apply to us here, but there's lots of camps going on this summer. There's volleyball, basketball, football's going, there's swim lessons all around. One of our kindergarten teacher at Coyote Valley is doing a theater camp. So just there's multiple opportunities out there for kiddos if they want to do something fun and different during the summer months.
Thank you for that. Annette?
Nothing to report.
Okay, and Superintendent Green?
Well, I'm going to have something to say.
Good.
Backpacking. Piggybacking on, or backpacking. I'm going to go with backpacking. Backpacking on what Allison said about different things. Jolene Justin did a drama camp last week, and her students performed Julius Caesar, and it's an adaptation of Julius Caesar. I don't happen to remember Neener, Neener, Neener being in the original Shakespeare, but it was part of the production I got to watch on Friday. And and then at Coyote Valley, we have the extended school year being put on by Edmo that we're supporting with the ELOP funds, which is also going on. With our new record that will not be beaten for our record small size audience, that one of the things to keep in mind when we get things like this is that bad news makes the news. That good news, when things are going well, I take this as a expression of confidence in what we are doing as a governance team, that they trust us, that the community, because 12 months ago, our meeting wasn't empty at the end of June. I don't remember how many people were here for that one in specific, but I know that this is the first meeting that we've had that has been completely empty. So that's an expression of confidence in you and the work that we are doing. We will have challenges to come in the upcoming school year when we talk about budget and deficit elimination plan. Those things will certainly draw more people, but for the time being, thank you for all the work that you're doing on our behalf. And that's all I have to say for that for now.
Okay, well, thank you. Jeff, I totally agree. I think we are working together as a team, but we sure do appreciate it when people do come out and speak.
Yes, we do.
So that's
For
really
sure.
important too. Okay, any reports to the board? I don't see any MTA, CSCA representative or Van Pelt.
I have a report on behalf of Ray Green from Van Pelt. He is elsewhere taking care of other challenges. He is seeing other people, which is, we're not in an exclusive relationship. So I know. Oh. But he has been working hard on our behalf. He has been working with the geotech, who's been working with CGS, California Geologic Survey. And they are within a day or two of getting their approval, just working through some technicality kinds of things. The big stuff has been addressed. And then the middle school gym will go to DSA, which again will hopefully be a week or so, because obviously hoping. But we're already talking about not starting that project until late August, so it shouldn't affect, 1 week here or there should not affect our timeline on that.
I'm sorry, that
You're
was
good.
the middle school?
Middle school gym.
I had thought he had said something about October, but if we're starting late August, that'd be awesome.
I think they'll start bidding in August.
Oh,
okay.
bidding in
Bidding.
August, okay,
Okay.
thank you.
So as far as shovel hitting dirt might be later.
Yeah.
Then the other project that has come up, and I'm not sure exactly how this got missed last year, that when we painted the middle school and high school campus, that the ag buildings didn't get painted, because they are definitely part of the campus. Patsy's shaking her head like, ag's used to being the stepchild.
Always.
So, well, we're trying not to have that be the case. And so we have already gotten one bid for having it painted and getting dry rot repair, working on getting a second bid, and then we'll be coming to you looking for approval on a proposal to get it painted. So the other thing that they're working on is between Van Pelt staff and our business department. Tanya, congratulations, your entire department. Working on making sure that we know exactly where we are with the bond funds, as Ray keeps saying, to the penny, so that we know. We don't want to start projects, like painting is a perfect example. We don't want to do other projects and put ourselves in a position where we end up with 95% of a middle school gym that we can't use. We don't want to have to value engineer things out of the gym without being at least knowledgeable about what we're doing on the way in. So that's kind of why, as we've talked about, things are on hold, and it's part of the work that Tanya's doing with the staff at Van Pelt.
So the painting of the ag building, was that going to come out of developer fees?
No, it would not come out of developer fees. Developer fees have to be spent on expansion of capacity. So for instance, the former preschool building at Coyote Valley, where that's expanding capacity, that's something that we can spend out of developer fees.
So where would this money come from?
It would come from the bond,
The bond money?
yeah.
Yeah, that's concerning. I'm really, I actually am thinking more about the ag building getting painted. I'm not sure about the dry rot repair. Well, I know that this wouldn't be part of it, but I know Ken Davis was maybe going to offer or wanted me to research possibly volunteering and then maybe having a senior project student or students that have to do community service and just kind of oversee the project, students just painting. Of course, that wouldn't have anything to do with dry rot repair. It would just be to put a Band-Aid on it for now until we
Yeah.
can maybe save some money or find the money somewhere. It's just a thought. I'm just throwing it out there. I know that he wanted me to,
Okay.
mention it.
And, and I don't know all of the ins and outs as a preface to, projects being done with volunteer labor out there is one of the things. First of all, we can get in trouble for that,
Union.
union-wise. And second of all, and I know that
Well-
painting isn't one of the things that would get us in trouble with DSA, but there have been modifications made to those buildings that are gonna make it difficult if we ever wanna do a larger remodel or something that would require DSA approval.
Right, and
So I know painting
just a
isn't one of
thought.
those
Yeah,
things,
no.
but it's one of those things, it's just kind of an area that I want to make mention of
Mm-hmm.
for us to be aware of. That we do have a lot of, between senior projects and community service hours, we do get students doing a lot of great things, planting trees and all kinds of stuff. It's just something that we want to make sure
Yeah.
that we're aware of.
so just putting that out there.
Yep, cool.
Generally, if bond funds are being spent on it, then the union aspect is not a part of that. So if we were using bond funds to buy supplies and some of the labor, then the union wouldn't be able to say like, why aren't we doing that?
Oh,
Yeah, I had a situation where we had a bunch of moves to do, and the union was like, well, why don't you give overtime for your staff to do it? Turns out that it was part of a bond
oh, good.
project, and doesn't fall into that.
Okay, that's good to know.
Yeah, it is definitely, the ag department being painted is definitely, to me, a priority too, because of the fact that the dry rot's just going to continue to get worse and worse
Yeah.
if we don't put some kind of Band-Aid on it until we can figure out
Need some sunblock.
And I like,
sunblock.
just go out there with some copper tone.
Yeah,
And I like sending the message that, you know what? That's part of our campus too.
yeah, yeah. So I look forward to hearing more about that and how we can, but I definitely am concerned about the bond funds.
Have we looked at evaluating the district for another bond?
We have not yet. It's one of the things that we are in process of kind of laying the groundwork for, making sure we have an up-to-date facilities master plan.
Yeah.
So we are laying the groundwork.
Is that with Van Pelt's help
Yes,
at this point?
yes. Yeah, it's one of the things that's great about Van Pelt is while we have them, they are full service. Like anything we need in that area, whether it's even sometimes if it's getting information about things that aren't directly related to the bond, if it's anything with facilities, they will
Yeah.
help they will happily share their knowledge and experience.
And do their research,
Yeah.
because, and I'll just throw it out there, we're paying them no matter, we're paying them monthly, and so, we need to use their services
Yep.
as much as we can, and it unload
Yep.
some of the, yeah, share the wealth.
For sure.
Well, thank you. Is that it
Yeah,
on Van
that's
Pelt?
it.
Okay. Are there any special acknowledgements at this board meeting? Anybody have any special acknowledgements?
Acknowledged,
Community comments. Those in the audience desiring to address the board regarding items not on the agenda may do so at this time. Do we have anybody online that would like to speak? So I won't continue with this. Everybody knows it.
There you go.
Okay, consent calendar. We have items 5A through G. Let's go ahead and pull item 5D for our thank you letters.
Oh,
Allison?
sure, yes. Middletown High School men's basketball would like to thank Trained Up for their donation, which will be used towards their expenses and helping to share the love of the game. And MHS football team would like to send a thanks out to Barbecue by Biasotti for their generous donation and the support of the MHS football team and all of our student athletes. So always again, thank you to everyone, past, present, and future, who donates to our students and their continued success.
Thank you, Allison. Are there any other items that anybody wants pulled for discussion? Okay, then we have consent calendar. Do I have a motion to approve items 5A through G?
Move to approve.
It's been
I
moved by
second.
Chris, seconded by Allison. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, passed 5-0.
And I'm just going to point out the number of field trips that the FFA Ag Department is doing. And I say FFA because some of these are FFA related. But the ag teachers are, I mean, they're not teaching class every day, but they are very busy still over the summer. And just want to take advantage of this opportunity to point that out. And part of it, what they're doing is they have so many different things that happen all throughout the year that they're on top of it. And they're actually at a conference right now. And then when they get back, Croman is going to be taking a couple of students to go pick up some equipment in Iowa and visiting their factory. And like,
Ag teaching doesn't stop.
ag teaching doesn't stop. The plants still grow and the animals still need to be fed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Before we move on, can we just confirm that G was empty? I want to just make sure we didn't approve something that there's no surplus. Okay.
Okay, thanks, Annette. Okay, item 6, business and facilities. We have 3 resolutions, authorization for year-end budget transfers. Item A. Are there any, well, is there a motion to approve item 6A, the resolution number 262425, authorization for year-end budget transfers?
So moved.
It's been moved by Patsy. Is there a
Second.
second? Second by Chris. Are there any questions about it? Is there any explanation that needs to be said? Okay. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Passed 5-0. Item 6B, resolution number 272425, authorization to make transfers between balances and expenditures at close of year.
Move to approve?
It's been moved by Annette,
Second.
seconded by Chris. Any questions? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Passed 5-0. Item 6C, resolution number 282425, authorization to make temporary interfund transfers. Do I have a motion to approve?
Move to approve.
It's been moved by Chris.
I
Do
second.
Seconded by Allison. Are there any questions?
Just a quick question. The 2425, does that refer to the year? And if,
No, we're still in the year 2425.
so the resolution, it's correct, because we're talking about the year that just happened,
These are
that we're
for,
finishing.
yes, this is
Right.
for the year that we're finishing
That we're
and for closing the books.
To close it
This
out.
is all preparation for closing the books. So,
I just wanted to make sure my understanding was right.
yeah,
Okay.
that's what it is.
Yeah, and those are the resolution numbers that we have a running total of through the year.
Right.
Okay, any other questions? It's been moved by Chris, I believe, seconded by Allison. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Passed 5-0. Item 7, board-related items, local indicators.
So our local indicators are, need to be shared with you. And it was one of the documents that was, well, now it was attached, right? Okay, good. And so as I'm sitting here and thinking, this is one of the pieces of paper that was misplaced. Yeah.
Priority 1 was basic services.
Right, yeah. So it's just a matter of, so with our dashboard, and it's a little bit odd the way that it works on our dashboard, that we, oh, thank you. That what we're reporting on the dashboard for the standard to be met, when it says standard met, is that we've had this conversation, that we have presented to you the information. And so there are a couple of things that I would point out with basic services where it talks about teachers being misassigned. Teachers who are interns or STIPs, PIPs, I can't remember what those things stand for, but provisional staff intern permit, short-term, thanks. Those are automatically considered a misassignment. And then the others are middle school ones that we have talked about and will be addressing here in a little bit. State standards, yes, we are implementing state standards across all curriculum areas. Parental engagement is something that we do at school sites and at the district level. You know, each school site obviously does a variety of parent nights and parent outreach. At the district level, we have tried to gather input for things from calendar to the LCAP to our deficit elimination plans, trying to maintain that communication and transparency, and not just communication from the school out, but also from parents in, and trying to get that. Looking at school climate, these are some numbers from the Healthy Kids Survey, and trying to keep an eye on where things are going as a trend. We will gradually add more information to this table.
Are the numbers the number of respondents?
No, they are the percentage, so on a 5-point scale. So they are the ones that strongly agreed or agreed. And there's a rating, and if you would like, I can go into more depth at a.
No,
another
that
time.
helps.
Okay.
So like, so
Yeah.
in 23-24, 46% of the 11th graders strongly agreed that they felt connected, and in
Agreed or strongly agreed.
Oh,
So these
okay.
are the top two, on a 5-point scale, these
Okay.
are the top two. And the note underneath talks about how important, like when we look at them as administrators, we look at them not just the top two, but it's also important to look like at that third, the middle number, and the example, I'm gonna put my glasses on to read. For instance, looking at 26% of 7th grade students reported feeling safe or very safe on school, can lead one to believe that, oh my gosh, 74% of our students are not feeling safe. Well, 53% were in the middle ground of not agreeing or disagreeing. And so that makes, I mean, we obviously still want to address the students who feel unsafe.
does the questionnaire drill down, like if you answered this, what are you not feeling safe about? Like, I just would be curious to know, do they feel like is it a weapons thing? Is it a emotional safety thing?
Yeah, and these numbers are from a compilation of several different questions that the Healthy Kids Survey brings together. So when administrators are looking at it, they're able to look more specifically at the specific questions.
Got it.
So this is kind of a 30,000-foot view. And then the last one is kind of a yes or no, access to a broad course of study, which is laid out in the law, that those are the courses that they need to have access to, and our students do. So those are our local indicators. You are not required to vote on them to approve them. I just need to be able to tell this state website when I upload them to the dashboard that they have been presented to you as part of a board meeting. But at the same time, I mean, obviously, questions, comments, we've had some, but are there any others?
Are there any other comments, questions? Okay. On to item B, Local Control Accountability Plan, LCAP.
And we talked about this last week. This one you do have to, or last week, 2 weeks ago, last meeting.
Yeah.
And this is again our same three goals of basic services, academic achievement, climate, culture. Questions? Comments?
No, well, I have just a comment
Okay.
about, to improve out, since I was reading something else online about, how we do call, and it does say, I think in our LCAP, that we'll call when a student isn't at school, but if there's something that we could generate that, wow, thanks for being part of our team and having your child come to school. Almost, I know that parents might, kick me as I go down the road, saying, I get a phone call every day because I send my kid to school. Well, that's awesome. If there's something that we could do.
Well,
in
and
that.
schools have various recognitions that they do. And again, kind of different at each school site. But it is something where we want to focus on the positives as well as the negatives,
Yeah.
for sure.
Yeah, that's what I was mainly
Yeah.
saying, but also, even if it was daily, I mean, Kids are gonna get tired of hearing it, but, you know, that's okay, they won't stop coming.
Well, and part of it comes down to staff time as well and how things are. and how-
Yeah, that's why I
things are
didn't
set
know
up.
if something could be done in Aries,
Yeah.
you know. But,
What year of the LCAP are we in right now? Is it
So we're
second
going
year?
into the second year.
Going into the second, so this year was year one.
Yes.
Was our first year.
okay, do I have a motion to,
I had one question is,
Yeah.
the amount of our total expenditures and then how much is actually associated with the LCAP. Is that kind of a low number, 3.9 out of 25 million?
It kind of depends on how we do things, on how we calculate. So for instance, in goal 1 and goal 2, we have basic services. And so things like custodial salaries. Goal 2, we have, achieving academic achievement. So we could put every teacher's salary in there. We could put every principal's salary in there. We don't. We just have the
We don't put
things.
the salaries in?
Not all of them, not every teacher's salary, for instance, is in there. So we lean towards trying to keep it focused on the things that we need the LCAP to focus on. Some of the things, we're going to need teachers.
Yeah.
okay, are there any other questions before we take a vote? Okay, do I have a motion to approve 25-26 LCAP?
I move to approve the 25, 26 LCAP.
Okay, it's been moved by Chris. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Patsy. Any other discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Passed 5-0. 25-26 budget adoption. Do I have any questions about our budget? It was presented a couple weeks ago along with the LCAP. Do I have a motion to approve item C, 25-26 budget adoption?
Move to approve the budget adoption.
It's been moved by Chris. Do I have a second?
I second.
Seconded by Allison. Any other questions?
Yeah, I just think it's important to take a moment to go through that, explain this to me like I'm a second grader type of thing with where we are over the next few years. And I'm trying to find the spot in the page where it lines up where our end fund balance is.
I look at the multi-year projection, and I'm not sure
Where
what page
is
that is on.
that? I think it's on page 13, maybe? Yeah. So I'm looking at the big picture kind of graph on page 13. And I just think, I don't know how many people are going to watch this board meeting or, refer back to it, but here we are in June looking at the big picture. We have a positive budget right now. Looks like next year, it looks like by the end, I'm trying to read this right. So by the end of the 25-26 year, we will meet our 3% with a remaining end fund balance of $870,000. Is that right?
That's
Am I
it.
reading that right?
I don't think it's at the end of,
Not the end of the budget year.
Okay, so on the big picture page, so the June budget, that is the 25-26 budget. We end the year with $869,000 in available that hasn't been allocated. As we talked about before, that's what's left in our savings.
Right.
That carries forward into the next year, into 25-26.
Right, so I misspoke. I said in fund balance, that's not what I meant. I meant savings account.
Yeah,
So I
that's,
am
well,
reading it
that's our unallocated
The
funds.
unallocated, right.
Unallocated. So, that's what carries us over into 25-26. At the end of 25-26.
well, we're going into 25-26.
I'm
right?
sorry, 26-27, sorry. 26, 27, at the end of that year, what we're projecting right now is that we will have no savings left. But our reserve is at 3.3%, okay? So then when we go into 27, 28, our reserve even drops now down to the minimum 3%, and we have absolutely no savings whatsoever. So we are continuing to decline in our projection.
So if just a question, if our savings account, what we had, that 3%, if that $769,000 was less, let's say it was like 500,000, and we dropped below that 3%, that would mean that right now we couldn't have a positive certification, right?
Correct. We would not have a positive certification.
So we're squeaking
Yes.
through this positive certification.
Yeah.
Correct. That is correct. So as an example, if we had to have a fourth year projection here, we would be qualified.
Right.
But we're short of that. So at this time next year, if we don't make significant changes, we will be qualified.
And it's not that we need to not spend money next year, the trouble isn't next year's spending. The trouble is at this time next year, the requirement of presenting this to the county and having that third year out, have that 3% reserve, it won't be there, and that's the problem. And that's why the budget reductions that we have to talk about in this coming year have to be implemented for the future years.
Right.
Because it's that third year out that if we don't meet that 3%, then our budget's qualified, and that's when people come and get involved
Right.
that we don't.
And we are doing things now that, and this kind of leads into the discussion about our deficit elimination plan as well. We are doing things already to reduce our spending as much as possible. And when we talked about the deficit elimination plan in January, February, March, we were talking about decisions that we had to make as a governance team. And there are things that happen that we as an administrative team are able to do without board approval. So for instance, when we realized that we could staff Coyote Valley with one fewer teacher and we had a vacancy, we actually had a couple vacancies that the least senior teacher from Coyote Valley was able to choose from. And so we were able to do that because nobody lost a job. Whenever somebody retires or resigns, we've had a couple of times where one of the instructional / noon aide positions at one of the elementary schools came in as a 4-hour position. I talked with the principal. He said, yeah, I think we can make it work with 3 hours. So there's a trim. Another elementary school was able to, when that position came in, take a look at this. And that principal said, I think we can actually do without this position. And so when those opportunities become available, we are taking advantage of as many of them as we can to try to make things last as long as possible. When we're talking about setting up a deficit elimination plan this coming school year for future school years, the things that are going to be on it are going to be significant. We're going to have to make some significant reductions because we're outspending our income by depending on the budget year, between $1.2 and $1.5 million a year. So we have a little bit different of a problem than other districts have, but a lot of districts are going through similar issues. I'm glad that we have the team that we have because as we established in January and February, and even though there's nobody in the room at the moment, this is the room where a lot of those conversations happened. And I really appreciated the input that we got from the community because it really improved the plan that we had. And we were able to do some things, make some maneuvers that we were able to make reductions that didn't require anybody to lose their job. I don't know if we're going to be able to do that this time. sense that we are not going to be able to, which makes me sad, but it's the reality of the situation that we're in.
We actually ended up reducing further than we intended because some of those hours that were cut back ended up being retirement.
Yeah.
And whatnot, so
Yeah.
that's all been taken into consideration. I'm
Yep,
assuming.
all that is
Yeah.
is actually factored in with this budget.
So Zoe, I have more that I wanted to talk with everybody about the future and the deficit spending. I don't know if you want to keep this conversation going here or if you want to wait until the resolution comes up.
Oh, no, let's wait till the resolution comes up. That would be great. We do have a motion already, correct?
Yep, we just need to vote.
Yep. Okay, so it's been moved, I believe, by Chris. I don't remember now. And then seconded by Allison.
Very good.
Any other questions about the budget? Okay, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Passed 5-0. Okay, on to Resolution 23-24-25, developing and implementing a deficit elimination plan as part of our fiscal responsibility. Let's open it up for discussion.
Well, looking back, as I was reading the agenda today, I was just looking back over what we've gone through for the last few years. And year one of doing this was, we've talked about it, we don't need to revisit it. It was a mess. It was painful for a lot of different reasons. Year two, we were playing catch up, and you were able to start a really effective process, but kind of late in the year. You had to start it in January, as opposed to now we're talking about it in June, So we're getting better each year. And I just was thinking, how can we as a governance team impact the process in a positive way, to further improve, the outcome and because we've been hearing it's going to be so painful and whatnot. And I just think that it might behoove us to talk to each other, and maybe we can even do this when we're having our board workshop in September, about the high level, goals of when the rubber meets the road and you have to start making those decisions to bring to us to vote on, what is informing you? What guidelines are you going by to choose? Do I choose this or do I choose this to eliminate? Because they're both going to be painful. Which pain do we feel? And my understanding is that we as the board should be providing some of that, I don't even know the right word. Yeah, like that's not all on your shoulders. You're making these decisions based on the guidelines that we've provided. And I just, I wanted to get some quotes off of the internet. In one quote from one, I don't know if it was CSB or not, whatnot, but it reminded me that ultimately the superintendent is the driving force that takes the school board's strategic direction and makes it a reality within the school system to ensure student success. So I just feel like we should take some time, and nobody's had a chance to really think about it, so maybe it is better to do it at a later time, but to have a conversation about, okay, let's think about, how are we going to make these decisions? Well, there's the LCAP, we have to always go back to those 3 goals in the LCAP. And we have to, I know for a priority for me that I really want to pound my fist on is we have to look at every choice being as far away from students as possible. So that would be something I would hope that we could agree on as a governance team, that kind of conversation, so that as you move forward in this process, you come to us and you say, well, hey, this was the strategy that, that we as a district, this is the overarching, these are the goals, this is what we want, and so these are the cuts that get us there or that least impact these areas, whereas I think even this year, even though this year was a better process than the year before, I still felt like we were at each other a little bit because we were all kind of coming from places of different priorities, not bad, but still, I still didn't feel like we were as united as we could have been in the process. And since it's going to be more painful this year than it's ever been before, I really think it would be valuable for us to have a conversation about those high-level priorities so that you don't feel like you're, having to do a major sales job, that you're just doing what we've tasked you to do. So that's what I'm.
Yeah, and I think one of the things that maybe you could add to that is we don't want to feel like we're just having something brought to us and we're not part of the process at all, and then we're just rubber stamping it. Mm-hmm. We want to be part of the process, and how do we do that? Mm-hmm. One of the notes that I just put is, I would like to see it on the agenda every month. But I also keep on falling back to superintendent, a budget, what am I thinking? Where two board members get to go in and be part of the process. What was it that we were doing? Budget committees, yes, and if there are committees developed, that might help, because then two board members are there, they can be part of the process, report back to the board. The board at that time in the public meeting can give little direction to the two people that are part of that process. It's just a thought. I don't know if that helps with.
Yeah,
make sure
I
we
mean,
were
I think this is all really a good to talk about in terms of the process. And we laugh about ChatGPT all the time, but as I was trying to kind of pull my thoughts together and try to articulate, what's our role here? How do we help move this painful process forward? And I asked ChatGPT, how do we help the superintendent? How do we do this? And ChatGPT said, the board sets the direction and the superintendent is held accountable for executing that direction effectively, ethically, and transparently. So that just, again, reminds me that we really need to get out in front of this as a board, I think, and make sure that we are helpful in helping Jeff understand where we're coming from, again, so that it doesn't all fall on his shoulders as choices that he's making. He's making choices based on the direction that we're setting. So,
Yeah. Some good thoughts. It all comes down to being open book, and and if we come here and we are part of the whole team, and the audience feels that, then it won't be as hard. I think.
Oh, it's going to be really hard.
Well, what I mean
It's gonna
is,
suck.
If we're together as a
Yeah.
team and we understand it in and out,
Yeah.
and we've been part of those decisions,
Yeah.
then it won't be, what, we don't remember that.
No,
Or,
well, and we
that-
will have, and we will have lots of meetings and discussions. And there's a little bit of, I don't know to what level it will be at every board meeting, but there will be, like last year, there will be meetings for staff, there will be meetings for the community. I appreciated the discipline that it took last year for you guys to be there and to not engage, which I know is hard because you're leaders in the community. That's why you are in these positions. I really appreciated the study session that we did, to be able to get everybody together, just sitting around the tables. Part of, and this is going to sound very right-brained, part of the input that I get from the five of you is all the time. The conversations that we have, the emails that we exchange, the sitting in a meeting and the discussions, whatever it is. I like to think that I have an idea where you guys are coming from, individually and collectively. And so there will certainly be discussions on this topic as a group. And we will certainly have more one-on-one conversations about it as well. Kind of like Ray goes to other places. I talk to other people too, to all of you. And so, yeah, it is certainly going to be something, and we are going to start earlier. As we're getting around the time of first interim, we're hoping to be putting things together. One of the things that that concerns me is the earlier we start, the longer the process goes, the more negativity can build up, the more stress there will be. Really, when it comes down to is when we get to February, March, and we're talking about layoff resolutions and reductions that way. And the sooner we're talking about what those reductions are, the longer it is stressful for people. So there's a balance.
Well, that's true, and just to jump in and say, I
Please.
think the earlier start is what we're doing right now.
Yeah.
We're starting the conversation with us, and then having this follow-up conversation in September, is then, we're not a team that works together every day of the week.
Right.
All month. We 1 month is 1 day of work for us,
Yeah.
and so it's just like a few extra days that we're talking about where we get to work as a team together. The other thing I would say is, I was thinking about this a lot too, and I also think that it's really excellent that you reach out to each individual board member to get input and feedback and whatnot. I really, though, want to make sure that we as a board have the opportunity, though, to bounce the high-level ideas off each other before you think that, well, Patsy feels this way, and Annette feels this way, and Zoe feels this way, and so as a group, they feel this way. I don't know. I think sometimes when we talk together in a public meeting, and we each express our individual opinions, we can change each other's minds.
For sure.
And we can grow
For sure.
as a collective mind.
Yep.
So I just ask
Yeah.
that you give us the opportunity to talk to each other
Yeah.
when big decisions need to be made, so that we can make sure that, we've all heard each other, that we've pleaded our case one
Yeah.
way or the other, and that.
And it can certainly be something that we talk about, like was mentioned earlier in our September 18th workshop.
Yeah.
I'm all right with that being part of that discussion. It'd be great to have Eric's input as well.
Yeah. I think it's all about transparency too. The one-on-one conversations that you might have with us in your office is one thing, but that's not being transparent to the public, and
Yeah.
the idea of us, being able to look down and go, Patsy, what? Wait, what? You just told me to kick rocks? No. But, yeah, and so I just wrote down transparency, and I can see it already happening, Jeff Crane's making all the decisions, and well, no, let's make it
Yeah.
known that, no, we're discussing it, and that's why maybe we could work together on how do we put it on the budget, or, I'm sorry, on the packet monthly. Where do we put it at a place that we can just do a talk?
And
Conversation.
what is it that we put on the agenda? Because like
Yeah.
Jeff said, there.
You don't want to steer emotions that
Right,
aren't
and you don't want to
needed.
start conversations too early that are going to, because one thing I've learned in my experience on this board is that there are times when leaving something to fester for a month is the absolute wrong thing to do, that it just creates more angst and so I'm with you on making sure that we talk about the right things at the right time. But I hear what you're saying, Zoe, that, there are other things that could have something to do with the process that we could maybe agendize, and talk about too, so.
Yeah,
And then maybe it's the committee meetings,
Yeah.
maybe that's part of it, that we're having these different meetings and we report out to each other. But
that, I really like that idea. I'm really in big favor of board members being part of committees and reporting out on it. I
So it's
think-
not necessarily part of the budget reduction plan process, but it impacts it ultimately, and it does help the transparency conversation.
Yeah.
The board policy meetings, or committee, I'd like to get back together, and this is a bit off topic, but I feel like, especially when there's a bunch of policies that we need to approve, it's really helpful to know that there's a couple board members that had their eyeballs on all of them, you know? So.
Good stuff.
Did we already make it?
No, we have not. So we're on item 7D, Resolution 232425. That is not we don't need to read that resolution. It's just right here, developing and implementing a deficit elimination plan. Do I have a motion to approve item 7D?
Move to approve.
Second.
Moved by Annette, seconded by Chris. Any other discussion or questions?
I don't have a question. I just, as far as what you guys have already said, does that then, are you asking for something like agenda-wise, like like this is, tonight we're just voting that this has to happen, so everybody's clear that it has to occur. Exactly how that's happening, we're not absolutely certain. So are you asking for like an agendized from here on out, like updates on progress on budget deficit elimination plan, something like that, or how to title the placeholder?
I think my ask was a little different than Zoe's. My ask was that we have.
Yours is how to get to the part where there's information on the placeholder, but I meant if you want it agendized, do we choose something that it's agendized as, and then we figure out amongst each other what progress we've made each month towards what we can report out?
I guess I'm going to just speak really quick on that, because I think that I kind of just wanted to give an idea to Jeff to mull over so that he has a better understanding of where maybe I feel about it, and then he can make his professional thoughts on it to us, either individually or as he's putting together some ideas and thoughts.
And my request was just that we have an agenda item on the September 18th meeting to talk about the overall strategy.
Because I think the assumption is just from tonight that unfortunately we have to agree to do this, but I feel like the way that we work together is that we all know that we're going to have to put in a lot of hard, uncomfortable work to do it, but I think everybody's willing to do that. So it's good to bring it up and talk about it and throw out ideas about how we get there. I think that's really helpful.
Since this is our only time of all of us getting together and really and throwing out those ideas, and it probably helps Jeff with us having this conversation.
For sure.
And then he'll go back to his office and not, So I feel good about the conversation that we've had around this.
And so what I'm taking from this is a couple things. One, that this will be part of our discussion with Eric on the 18th of September. And then also that I don't know if we want to wait that long to have our process kind of at least sketched out. And so we'll probably talk about it either, my guess would be our August board meeting, to lay out what the process is going to be, and then kind of have that from there. And again, trying to balance between what the county is going to be expecting from us as our budget overseers, and then also what the community needs, and trying to balance all those things. So that's my thought of our next steps will be to come with some sort of a process laid out in August, at least a sketch of what it might be, and then a more in-depth conversation about budget priorities on September 18th.
I like that. Yeah. Okay, it's been moved and seconded. Are there any other questions? All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Passed 5-0. Item 8, student items, interdistrict transfers. Do I have a motion to approve item 8A, interdistrict transfer request?
Move to approve interdistrict transfers.
It's been moved by Chris, second. Do I have a second?
I second.
Seconded by Allison. Are there any questions? All in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Passed 5-0. Item 9A, personnel, our PAR report, new offers, additional assignments, assignment change, extra duties. Do I have a motion to approve item 9A, our PAR report?
Move to approve.
It's been moved by Annette. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Chris. Any questions? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Passed 5-0. Item 9B, authorization to teach outside credential education code, resolution number 2425 and resolution number 252425.
Very good. You actually read both of those in a different order, but you got them both.
Good. Okay, the board will consider adoption of the resolution 242425 and resolution 252425.
I move to
Do
approve
you-
9B.
Yeah, item 9B, it's been approved by Chris. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Annette. Are there any questions or any discussion? Okay, all in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Passed 5-0. Item 9C, Resolution 292425, authorizing Jeff Crane to sign on behalf of the governing board. Do I have a motion to approve item 9C?
Move to approve 9C.
It's been moved by Chris, a second.
I second.
Seconded by Allison. Any discussion or questions? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Passed 5-0. Item 9D, Resolution number 302425, authorizing Tanya Michelle to sign on behalf of the governing board.
Move
Do
to
I
approve.
have a motion?
Sorry.
Annette?
Move to
Second.
And then seconded by Chris. Any discussion, any questions? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Passed 5-0. Item 9E, Resolution number 312425, authorizing Zoe Bersisco and Janelle Woodruff to sign on behalf of the governing board. Do I have a motion to approve?
I move to approve.
It's been moved by Allison. Do I have a second?
That's it.
Second by Patsy. All in favor, or any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Passed 5-0. Item 9F, declaration of need for fully qualified educators.
This is a declaration that allows us to hire emergency permit and limited assignment teachers. It gives us a number of positions that we can hire. It's kind of a, I want to say preventative, but that's not exactly the right word. We're checking a box to make sure that we have this in place for if we need these teachers to be able to get them approved to teach with county and the CTC.
Okay, thank you, Jeff. Do I have a motion to approve item 9F, declaration of need for fully qualified educators?
Move to approve 9F.
It's been moved by Chris. Is there a second?
A second.
It's been seconded by Annette. Any questions? Okay, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Passed 5-0. Item 10, curriculum and instruction. 10A, 2526 school plan for student achievement.
So these are the annual plans. These are to the schools as the LCAP is to the school district, where the principal in combination with the school site council is made up of teachers, one other employee, and then parents, and depending on the grade level, also students can be invited to be part of the group. And so principals gather input, much like we do with the LCAP, and then use this as a way of indicating how they will use their funds. It's most important for, I'm going to use an old school term and say categorical funds. So for most of our schools, that's like Title I, that for them to be able to spend Title I funds, it needs to be on something that is identified within their SIPSA. And so these are the plans for our 6 schools. I know that I can testify, I don't know why I keep running short of words. I can endorse, I can tell you that that I know they've been working with their school site councils on these. And so these represent community input and the culmination of that process.
It's a lot of work. There's a lot of pages and a lot of reading. And so as a trustee, it was, something that I was really glad as I quickly looked through some of them, or looked through them. Minus the one that I think you're looking through right now, right? That, everything seemed to be in place.
Yeah.
And I appreciate that, I mean, it's probably,
to get Sharice's signature.
it just, I've seen it where it's not. So thank you for that.
Yeah. Got a hardworking group of site administrators, which is why we excuse them to not be here this evening.
Good. So I guess my question to the other trustees is, and to Janelle actually, is it okay to approve all of them together in one vote, or do we have to individually do them? Thank you. Okay, with that being said, do I have a motion to approve item 10A, 2025-2026 school plan for student achievement for Minnie Cannon, Coyote Valley, Middletown Middle School, Cobb Mountain, Cobb Mountain Elementary, Middletown High School, and Loconoma Valley?
Move to approve all the SIPSs.
It's been moved by Chris. Do I have a second?
I second.
Seconded by Allison. Any other discussion or questions?
Just a quick question. There was so much trouble with the website a couple of years ago with dates not rolling over right and everything, and I just remember the SIPSAs the principals were having a terrible time with them. Is it fixed now?
Was it our district website, or was it doc tracking?
No, it was the state. I think there was, and it was from COVID. They hadn't updated years worth of data or something. I can't remember what the whole thing was, and it might have partly been our district issue too.
We use a system that a lot of school districts throughout the state use called document tracking. It does a lot of that, and I believe that it has I haven't heard any concerns from principals this year.
Okay, and all of it, like Zoe said, it did look like finally now we're talking about the right years and current data and
Yep.
current narratives, and
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
that's really good to read. So
Yep.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. Do I have everybody, is there any other questions? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Passed 5-0.
I'm going to jump in real quick, just because
Yeah.
we're going to talk about principals, and I think I can safely not be accused of grandstanding, because there's just us in the room. One of the things that I just want to point out in talking about our principals, and not just our principals, but all of our leadership team, we are set to start next school year with every member of this leadership team the same that we started this school year.
Wow, that is.
And so food service, maintenance, tech,
it's been a while.
special ed, all the site admin, CBO, superintendent. How about that?
So our expectations are very high.
Yes, we're working to meet them.
Yep. And Janelle, how many years have you been just running the show? Oh, I'm sorry.
I know it should we call her Janelle EO.
Okay, thanks for that. Okay, item 11, any correspondence? 12, pending agenda items?
Oh, I think we still need to vote on the SIP side.
Oh,
You guys,
We voted? Okay, because
Or did we just move it?
I was just talking about the SIP. Are you sure we voted? Okay, well, we voted. Would have all voted.
Zoe said it was moved and seconded.
We did them all at once.
5-0, yeah.
right? But then I said, good job.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Just in case. Thank you.
Pass 5-0. You're welcome.
We voted twice. That's
It's
how
either
much we
5-0 or
like them.
10-0.
Yeah. Yes.
Now we'll put them in bold.
Correspondence, none. Pending agenda items. That's something we'll
Ones that
look
we've
at
talked
in a
about,
couple of
yeah.
weeks. Announcements. Important and upcoming dates. Our next regular board meeting is July 30th. Final adjournment. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
Move to adjourn.
Second.
It's been moved by Annette, seconded